Hello, Becky here. Welcome back to my channel. I am here to do a Bookish Goals 2024 check-in. So I did a Bookish Goals video at the end of December, and I thought it would be a good idea to check in like every quarter or so and see where we're at, see what's going on. Did I write down my goals before or after doing that video in December? No. Did I have to go back and rewatch my video twice to write down what my goals were for 2024? Yes. So rule number one about making goals, write them down. It's hard to know if you are succeeding or getting anywhere with your goals if you don't write them down and you don't know what they are. So I've written them down here and I need to add them to like a nice little journal spread or something like that, but who has time for that? I don't. I see all these like bullet journaling videos on YouTube and I just wish I had the time for that kind of stuff. I don't, but I want to. Well, let's just jump into this video and talk about what I have and have not yet accomplished. So just for my reading goal in general, I set it at 75 books for the year, and so far 3 months into the year I have read 30 books, which is pretty good. That averages 10 a month. I read like 7 in January, 14 in February, and then about 9 in March or so. It worked out about that way, and I am ahead by 10 books or something, ahead by 11 books, and that is because I read 10 volumes of Spy Family and the light novel, which was 11 books. That checks out. I knew doing that big reading vlog would really bump up my stats that way, but that's okay. So what were the goals I had? I wanted to slow down and enjoy the books that I am reading and read with more intentionality. Have I been doing that? Well, I have read 30 books so far in 3 months. So I don't know if that really counts as slowing down in my reading. I am trying to cram in so many books right now. I have content I want to do in July, which would include reading 10 to 15 books that I have to start now, but I have so many books I want to read right now that have nothing to do with July. They're just things I need to read now. And so it's really hard to balance reading intentionally and slowly and also cramming in all the books I want to read. But I talked about my mental health and ability to remember the books that I am reading and enjoying the books that I'm reading and having something to talk about when it comes to the books that I'm reading. People are like, what are you reading right now? And I'm like 7 different books. I don't know. What do you want to talk about? And it's like, oh, read any good books lately? And my mind just goes blank. I'm like, no, what is reading? Who does that? Right? So I really do need to slow down and be more intentional with it, but also get off of technology and spend more time reading. It's very difficult for me to balance my day and reading and all the other things I want to do. And I also just find it really hard with a toddler and my 2 dogs. Well, we have 1 dog and then we're fostering another dog and she might be adopted out like any day right now. But I sit down to read. In an hour, I'm up 5+ times to let the dogs out, to bring the dogs back in, to grab something that the dog has taken and isn't allowed to be eating and get that from her. And then the baby wants something. So I gotta get his food or drink or whatever, or a toy, and then the dog's grabs something else she's not supposed to have, and then the baby poops and I need to get up and change the diaper, and it's just constantly getting up and down no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm editing videos or just trying to sit and read or whatever, even just like watching TV. I gotta get up constantly, so it's really hard to keep up with that stuff, and even just finding the time to sit and read and enjoy the books I'm reading. And then I want to spend time being more intentional with my reviews and bullet journaling to help me remember the books, and finding that time is also very difficult. So I am trying to be more intentional with it, but it isn't easy. I said I wanted to use the Cawpile for rating books more, and I did a couple of those in like one sitting. I was trying to do a couple, and I bought a spreadsheet from Allie from Hardback Hoarder. I will link it down below. Her spreadsheet for tracking books, and I talk about that in my quarterly wrap-up stats video. So I've been writing and cataloging my books in there, and one of my other goals for this year was to track the books I buy and the money I spend on them, and she has a section for that in the spreadsheet. So that has been really helpful, and I'm getting a few more stats out of that I don't get from Storygraph. but I do need to do more reviews on Storygraph. That's what I want to work on, and then doing my bullet journaling stuff. I am getting a little bit better at it. It's not great. I'd say it's like a 50-50 right now of whether or not I'm accomplishing that goal. A couple of books I took a little bit more time reading was Britt Marie Was Here by Frederick Bachman. That was my first ever Frederick Bachman. Again, I talk about this in my wrap up. It was a very slow book and a slow read. It took me a while to read it. I read it in the month of March for the buzzword, which was character names. So Britt Marie. I was in the midst of reading all these other books for all these other vlogs, and it was just taking me a little bit longer. I would pick it up here, pick it up there, put it down. But it was a really slow read in a really good way. And I wasn't annoyed with it taking me so long to read it. And it was really fun. I just really, really enjoyed the story. And I talk about this in my wrap up. It was kind of boring in a way. Nothing was happening, but I was reading it at the perfect time because I was also reading the Red Rising trilogy, which was like action upon action upon action. So much is happening. So much is coming at you. There's wars, there's fighting, there's interpersonal relationship stuff happening, galactic wars, like it's crazy. All this action is happening. And then Britt Marie was just kind of slow and steady and slice of life, kind of boring, nothing happening, but it was perfect. I need to read more like that, where I'm just there for the ride and enjoying it and picking it up when I have the time and not racing to get through it so I can get to the next book. Sometimes if I take too long with a book, that can happen where I'm just annoyed that it's taking me so long, so I need a good balance between the two. I also read Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, which took me a little bit of time to read as well, not as long as Britt Marie. It was kind of the same thing where I was just enjoying it. I was there for the ride, and Britt Marie and Vera Wong are like my two favorite characters and books I read in the first quarter of the year because I spent so much time with them and just enjoying the story and the ride and being a little bit more slow with both of those reads. Am I slowing down and enjoying all the books I'm reading? Not all of them, but I'm getting better at it, I think, maybe, possibly. I need to get better using the call pile still and rating and reviewing books on Storygraph. That I still haven't really done yet this first quarter, so hold me accountable for that. If you want to follow me on Storygraph or friend me or whatever, all the links and stuff are in the description box below. I want to read more nonfiction. I was thinking of picking up one nonfiction a month along with one Christian nonfiction book a month. I've read 0 Christian books so far this year. I'm upset about this because those are books that I need to take my time with, that I want to like highlight and underline and learn from. Instead of just picking them up and starting to read them, they just keep getting pushed off to the side. And I just ignore them because I'm like, I don't have the time or the mental energy or space to sit with these books. So I don't sit with them at all. I don't even bother to pick them up, and I need to pick them up. I really, really, really do. I really want to. And I need to prioritize what I'm reading and not step back from BookTube, but step back from all the BookTube hype books and read what I want to read and what I need to read and what my soul needs me to read. As far as nonfiction, I have completed 3 nonfiction books so far. 4, actually. I just finished one today that I will be talking about in my mystery vlogs book, my mystery books vlog. So watch for that. That's not coming out for a little while yet, but I talk about it a little bit more there. And I have another one going. That one's going to take me a while. That's about raising children with ADHD. That one's going to take me a lot longer. Again, I just need to find the time. I have a toddler. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I've put too much on my plate. So I need to read more Christian books, and the nonfiction is going well. I've read 4 in the last 3 months. I'm on track for that. The Christian books, I need to step up my game. I am planning to read a fiction Christian book this month, so that's good, but I need a nonfiction. And my other goal was to read the books I already own. And then like the first 3 or 4 books I read this year were all library loans. So I'm like, that's going well. But now out of the 30 books I have read this year, 24 of them I have owned. So applause. Thank you. That is going amazing. We're supporting our library and we are supporting my shelves. So one of those books I bought for the Spy Family vlog, the light novel, and I read it in that. So I bought it and read it. So it still counts as reading it off my shelf. It wasn't on my shelf at the beginning of the year. We won't talk about the 16 books I've bought for myself already this year and haven't picked up. Cheers. But of the books that were already on my shelf at the beginning of this year, I read 24 of them out of the 30. So I'm very, very happy and proud about that. And then my other goal was be more consistent with content on YouTube and posting on Instagram. I did did post a little bit on Instagram at the beginning. I have not kept up with it. There's so much I could post and talk about. I just need to find the time to take the photos. I talked about in my goals video that I want to take nice photos, but I don't want to stress about making them. Sorry, I'm sitting like super uncomfortably here. We're supposed to get all comfortable and cozy here for this video, and I'm like trying to prop myself up and sitting on my legs, and it's messed up. I talked about in the video that I wanted to take nice photos but not stress about them being Instagram worthy, but I still need to find the time to take like half decent photos. Like, I want the lighting to be decent, you know? I want you to be able to see what I'm posting about. I've done one reel about a crochet project, and I posted about another crochet project I was doing, but I do need to do some bookish content. So that you can hold me accountable for the rest of the year, just posting more on Instagram. And then I thought I would talk about a little bit of my spring TBR. I don't normally do wrap-ups and TBRs because, I don't know, I find that content not the most interesting content in the world. I'm not going to say it's boring. I watch a few people's TBRs and stuff, but I don't want to do it monthly. I think seasonal TBR is really good, so I thought I would combine my Bookish Goals check-ins with my TBR. Normally I would do a wrap-up and a TBR, but I did my wrap-up tier ranking video, and I recorded for an hour and 20 minutes and never even got to finish it, so I'm gonna add the spring TBR to this video instead. So I'm not gonna talk about all the books I plan to read this spring, and this is going into summer as well because I have some content that I want to come out in July. So spring on the calendar is March 19th until June. So I think most of these would be read April, May, June. So the book I am currently reading right now is Meet Me at the Lake. I can't remember her name, but she is Canadian, the author of that, and I am reading it because, well, my friend gave it to me. It's a beautiful cover. I love it, but I am reading it specifically because she's Canadian, the author, and it does take place in Canada, in Ontario, so that's exciting. That's what I'm currently reading. I'm just a little bit into it. I also want to pick up The Whisperers by Ashley Audrain. She's also Canadian. I read The Push from her 2 years ago now, and The Whisperers came out last year, so I'm excited to pick up that one. I enjoyed The Push enough to want to pick up this next one. Ducks, the graphic novel that is also Canadian. I think you can see a theme going on here with some content I have planned in July, of course. Ducks is a graphic novel that takes place the author is from Nova Scotia, I believe, and she worked up in the oil sands here in Fort McMurray. So I want to read that one. And it is a graphic novel, so like I said, it's quite thick, but also being a graphic novel, it should read a little bit faster and help with some of the content I have planned without overwhelming myself with these big giant books. I also plan to read I'll Be Gone in the Dark, which is a nonfiction true crime story that I am reading with Gavin's Patreon a couple times a month. He does a true crime and wine, and we decided to do a true crime book buddy read book club thing this month, so that's really exciting, and I am interested in diving into that one. I just listened to 18 hours of a story about Ted Bundy called The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule, and she was a friend of Ted Bundy's, and she was doing some reporting on the murders and missing women that was going on during that time. So that one was really, really interesting. So it has made me more excited to go into I'll Be Gone in the Dark. It sounds weird to say I'm excited about a true crime book, but yeah, let's go with the true crime theme right now because that's apparently what I'm in the mood for. I also want to read Abby Jimenez this spring, summertime, like Yours Truly and A Part of Your World. I want to read those two books. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow I need to read. I think the buzzword in June is repeating words within a title, and I've been wanting to read that one for a while now, so that's perfect. And From the Ashes, which is a Canadian Indigenous book that I need to read, and it is also nonfiction. So those are just a few of the books on my spring going into summer TBR. Whether or not I've accomplished my goals, I did not even write down and tell you a Christian nonfiction book I want to read in the next 3 months. That's how great my nonfiction Christian book reading is going. There is a motherhood book I want to read. I think that one is Christian. There's a couple of them that I have. Watch for my wrap-ups and everything to see what books I've actually gotten to, and my next Bookish Goals check-in probably in July, I think I'm planning it. And that's it. How are your goals going? Did you write down any goals? Are you accomplishing them? Are you doing little check-ins with yourself every week, month, quarter? Let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!